Welcome back. Okay, what do we got today?
In the last video, you were describing basically two, what do you call it? Criteria items that would be necessary for a valid, legitimate teacher.
Okay.
And one of them is obviously the lineage.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one, which we can get more into today, is the idea of common sense.
Okay.
So,
Common sense?
yeah. Which I think you were trying to say, common sense is, part of it is the teacher's ability to clearly expound the teachings.
Yeah.
But there's more, so go ahead.
Yeah, well, what might feel like common sense to someone might not feel like common sense to someone else, I think was what you were, right?
Yeah.
So what I mean by common sense is sense of commonality, sense of inclusivity. What a real teacher can do is get a group of people together and lead conversation directed in such a way as to highlight the commonalities that are present there. And then kind of imply that the commonalities that are present in this room, what do I mean? I mean commonality of motive, number one. Commonality of motive. Given the choice, do you want to wake up and be able to pursue meaning, fulfillment, happiness, peace, or not? Basic. So what a real teacher can do by directing our sensibility to our commonalities is to help us ask the question. Second question, well, okay, then how do we start to build that within ours? How do I start to create a harmonious environment within myself? And how do I start to create a harmonious environment outside of myself? That's what I mean by common sense.
Nice.
Yeah, sense of inclusivity, sense of commonality of motive.
So you mean it almost literally.
Yes, common, yeah.
Yeah.
Common to all of us.
Yeah. You're not talking about common sense like, well, this must be right because my parents told me this and this is how we do things, and that's probably the opposite of what you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
What else?
Let's see. We could briefly segue into, well, I guess, yeah, this is still on topic, about the teacher, him or herself.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess more from the teacher's perspective, like
The hesitation and all that about teaching and all that.
Yeah.
So it happens as we mature in the process that we feel ourselves drawn to becoming a teacher. And that's a natural process. And as we get close to that space, there's this other sort of like threshold, like trigger type of thing, which is maybe I'm being arrogant, or no, maybe being a teacher is just to be humble and offer a teaching to a stranger here, or my friend there, give a teaching to my mom, but I'm not, the teacher, that type of, I'm too humble and there is no teacher and all of that. And when it's so whenever there is that sense of arrogance, which then kind of like pushes a button and points our effort back toward becoming humble, when there's that, I've seen it a lot of places in teachers. I've seen people post on Instagram on it all the time, and conversations and all sorts of things. When there's the feeling that I'm learning something and I'm being confident about being able to share it, then there's the fear of stepping into it, because fear of being accused of being arrogant, who are you to be a teacher? And then we go back the other way into thinking that humility is the ultimate expression of teacherness. You follow what I'm saying? Do you also see that?
I think so.
Yeah. There's some fear about being a teacher there, is my point.
I mean, I definitely see it in myself.
So what that indicates is that the line of tension, the point of tension isn't being worked. Either the transition into teacher will be natural because if you're studying with a teacher, heavy duty line and common sense, who has heavy duty line and common sense, then your sense of self becomes more inclusive. Up to the point where if you're giving a teaching, there's no single person there who can feel arrogant or who can feel humble, because the whole line is there present. So if you've positioned yourself to be a link in the chain, you're not there. It's just the line working through the aqueduct in a way.
So then here's where the reinventing the wheel versus turning it comes in.
Yeah.
Because I think that a teacher may potentially feel arrogant or feel that they have to be humble if they think that the teaching is coming from them rather than, like you're saying, coming from a lineage.
Yeah.
So if the teaching isn't your own, then you wouldn't have to worry about, if it's right or wrong, or if you're doing the right thing, or if it's going to come out correctly. It's like, if you're plugged in, then it'll come through naturally, it sounds like you're saying.
Yeah.
If you're not plugged in, then you're going to be trying to reinvent the wheel. As in, you're going to think that it has to come from you in an isolated sense, like that you're like one man on an island and you're the only teacher and you have to be the source of all the teachings.
Yeah, and you have to put your own spin on it.
Yeah.
And all of that.
Yeah.
And even if you're looking at traditionally Buddha in realizing that, realized there's a lot of other cats who understand this too. And was, quote unquote, asked to turn the wheel, like you're saying, not to reinvent the wheel. There is no reinvention of what wheel? From the point of view of emptiness, what do you mean? How can something even be created? This is one of the things that Buddha is saying. It's uncreated. Meaning it's always there. It's always there. So who does it belong to if it's already there? Anyway, it doesn't make sense. So the position, so if, let's say, if I've gone through life and it hasn't been pleasant, and I've sought out ways to heal myself or adjust myself or whatever, and I start to feel like, wow, this is working a lot, and I want to start teaching. And as I try to move into the space of teacher, I experience some either self-judgment, or I feel like I'm arrogant if I do this, or I feel like the best way to be a teacher is just to be anonymous and like give a little thing here and give a little thing here and just help where I can. It's like if someone's feeling that way, what it means is that individual is not really plugged into the line. You're not getting enough tension from the other side. Mm-hmm. There's not enough tension coming from the side of meaning working with a teacher. There's not enough tension of that.
Yeah.
And there's not also enough tension on the other side that says, if I don't actually organize my own, what has worked for me, made effort to organize it, systematize it, and then check it against my line, then I won't be serving those after me. There's this saying that it's like a Tibetan joke Dalai Lama says sometimes. He says, good teachers don't give teachings like crows build nests. Apparently, crows' nests are messy and scattered all over the place. Mm-hmm. It's not organized and systematized. So that's one of the exercises that helps anybody who's really feeling called to get in line, to get in the line, is to start, rather than having the things scattered out all over the place, what is the common sense, organization / systematization of your own experience of the path thus far. What was the point of suffering that made you really seek? What were the transformative little defining moments so far of the path? Because it's probable that in that exercise to reflect, the common sensibility will start to show up, and that helps provide more of the line of tension. More inclusive. It's electricity. The more that can be received, the more that can come in. Up to the point where there's full inclusivity, and then there isn't, like I'm saying, there's no singular self there that is concerned about whether it is arrogant or should be humble, or the line is present. And last Star Wars, and she's fighting Palpatine. And he's like, I'm the Sith. And she's like, I'm all the Jedi. Remember? And she's like praying to the Jedi, like, be with me. And all the Jedi are like, we're with you. That's the line.
Gotcha.
It's not emotional. It's not mental. It's just presence. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's that thing that we feel in people when we get in a room with them who are plugged in to a line. We feel the presence
of the whole line. Interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
Good for now, or is there anything else?
Yeah. There's
it's an important
one
point
more
to
thing.
Understand what you were saying. There's no reinventing the wheel. You don't reinvent the wheel, you turn the wheel. Teachers are requested to turn the wheel, keep it moving, keep it flowing. That's important. What you picked up on is very important. Understand that.
Yeah, so turning the wheel of the Dharma, but then knowing that the Dharma it's not like a finite thing. It's like electricity in the sense that it's everywhere around us all the time, even in this very room.
Yeah.
And you have to build a sort of transformer. Like you've given me an illustration before of electricity being the Dharmakaya.
Yeah.
And it's everywhere present all the time. But in order to actually harness it and use it and turn on the light bulb, you have to have a transformer in between.
Yeah. Yes.
And
otherwise it would just blow the body out.
Yeah.
So there's that middle piece that's required.
Yeah.
Like the same thing with the lineage.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's the point of tension in the middle.
Exactly.
I'd like to share a revelation I've had.
You've been practicing.
It came when I was attempting to classify your species, and I realized human beings aren't actually mammals. See, every mammal naturally develops an equilibrium with its environment, but you humans do not. You project your environment outward from your... Anyway, human beings are potentially Buddhas. And the way to move to that is to line up. Line up. There's a certain level of assertiveness that has to be developed. The wish to help others, the wish to teach. And simultaneously, there has to be the level of receptivity.
Yeah, like I was saying, you have to prepare your vessel, so to speak. If there's nothing to contain it, then you won't form the link in the chain.
Yeah.
So you have to set the conditions for that link to be made.
Yeah. It's like playing a basketball game and someone passes you the ball and you shoot and score a point. You're not concerned whether or not the other team feels bad or not. And you're not concerned whether or not you're going to be perceived as arrogant for scoring 40 points a game. You're scoring points, bro.